Good morning. And here we go again with Has Romance Died? Definitely not. But welcome, and so pleased you're joining us. And for those who will listen later, I know you're going to be blessed, and this is going to be good stuff for us and encouraging stuff for us. Marriage is wonderful. Marriage is great, but we have to make it great, and we have to make it wonderful. It doesn't just happen. This morning, I want to share something that we did discuss with Pastors Rion and Liesel a bit about expectations, but I'm just going to discuss it briefly to lead us into being romantic. And you might be saying, well, what's expectations got to do with being romantic? Well, let's find out. And I want to start this morning by a quote. H. Norman Wright, in his book, Communication, Key to Your Marriage. Excellent book, if you can get it. Communication, Key to Your Marriage. And he says this: too many couples enter marriage blinded by unrealistic expectations. Now, we have discussed that, so I'm not going into that right now. They believe that their relationship should be characterized by a high level of continuous romantic love. As one young adult said, I wanted marriage to fulfill all my desires. I needed security, someone to fulfill all my needs and take care of me. I needed intellectual stimulation, economic security immediately, but it just wasn't like that. And when I read that, I thought, wow, that's quite a list. But anyway, people are looking for something great or magical, as he puts it, to happen in marriage. And this is what Norman Wright says: magic doesn't make a marriage work. Hard work does. So he goes on to talk about expectations, which we've dealt with. He says buried expectations can poison a relationship. Unresolved expectations often lead to demands, and that is so true. And demands lead to manipulation. And this, unfortunately, is very true. And the one partner will try and manipulate the other one so that the expectations are met. And when that's there, romance is out the back door. One partner maneuvers or manipulates the other to meet the expectation, while the other tries to avoid it. Inevitably, this leads to isolation in marriage, with two partners playing absurd but dangerous games in an attempt to establish control. And that happens. You find if your expectations aren't met and things aren't going right, it's just in our human DNA that then we want to control. We want to control the situation, have control, but then we think we're in charge and we get in our way. And there can be a play for control. But when you want to control each other, instead of working at your marriage and working at romance, romance actually is out the back door, as I said. Romantic happiness, if I can term it that way, romantic happiness or romantic surprises can actually turn this around. He goes on to say, while many of your own expectations about marriage will inevitably remain buried until after you're married, there's a great value in discussing some of them. And I think this is true. Sometimes discuss these things with your partner. So I want to know what you think of the following things I'm going to say. Number one, when you get married, do you feel that the feelings of love and passion will never fade after you're married? So many couples go in and say, our passion and love will never fade after we're married. This statement, life will continue to be exciting and romantic after we are married. And I'm sure a lot of us have that expectation, and even more so the wives, that life's going to be exciting and romantic after we're married. And the other one is, all my needs are now met in my spouse. Well, I don't know what you think of those, but some of us go into marriage and we have these wonderful ideals, and they're not bad. There's truth in them. That's how it should be. Was each of those statements contain an element of truth? Was that's actually what should be happening in our marriage? But this could also lead, if it does not happen, to disillusionment and disappointment. So hard as, now I'm going to quote from Norman Wright again, he says, hard as it may be for you to believe, your feelings of love and passion will tone down after marriage. Life will not always be exciting. And I want to stop there on his quote. And I want to say life will not always be exciting unless we as married couples are prepared to work hard at it and make a decision. I'm going to keep this fire burning. I'm going to keep this flame burning. I'm going to keep the excitement going. And sometimes you might think, but so much work, but the rewards are so amazing. You know, one of the best things to get over all these expectations and the disillusionment and disappointment, I believe, is the element of surprise. Surprise is always wonderful. Surprises just change everything. Just this morning, I had a surprise from someone, and it bowled me over, and it just made me feel so good. And the Lord surprises us so often, doesn't He? And I just believe that surprise is the ignition, is the key to getting the romance back and just getting over all these issues that can happen in our life. But we need to work hard at it. So what do we do for a surprise? I know we see these romantic movies, and maybe you know some people who have taken their wife, flown them down to Cape Town and got a beautiful beach somewhere in the Cape, and had a picnic basket and lovely rose petals in the sand, and maybe a violin playing in the background. And we think, oh, I could never do that, or that's out of my reach. How can I do that? The element of surprise can be simple, but the impact great. And it does not have to be costly. So the big thing is think. And I'm saying that again, think how you could surprise your spouse, your husband or your wife, that will really bless him or her. And you know what? When you are the one who goes out looking for the surprise and organizing the surprise, you're the one that actually gets blessed. It can be as simple as this. A couple of days in the ministry, Tish and I hadn't had much time together. There were meetings, counseling, preparation, and all sorts of stuff. And the one evening I had to go attend a meeting, and on the way back, I thought, gosh, how can I surprise Tish? It's late, everything's closed except the 24/7 stores. And those years, when you stopped at one of the garage stores, they would have these bottles with these marshmallow fishes. And Tish went through a craze. She always loved marshies, where she would love these marshmallow fishes. And all I did, I walked in and said, could I have 6 of them? And I didn't buy the whole bowl and the whole jar, but brought her 6-pack, hid it behind my back, came in, kissed her hello, said hello, and then said, I got something for you. And when she opened it, we just had a good laugh. And that element of surprise just brought laughter and joy. We could sit down, and it just relaxes you and just draws you together. So it can be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be so big. But plan it. That was a spur-of-the-moment surprise. The best surprises are planned. Plan a date, set a date, think of the surprise. Think of, this is where, as I said before, you need to know what each other likes. You need to know what your husband likes, and husbands, you need to know what your wife likes, so your surprise has impact. And a surprise doesn't necessarily have to be, I'm taking you out for a romantic dinner, I'm kidnapping you to go away for a night, I'm not telling you where we're going, which would be great. And I'm going to discuss ideas of being romantic next week with you, and there's some great ones. But I just want to share something that happened many years ago. I was working for a major South African company, and those years we didn't have cell phones, so there were no WhatsApps. And they called me at reception and said, will you please come sign for a telegram? And I thought, telegram? Those years, telegrams were normally sent advising you someone's died or something's happened or things like that. I thought, a telegram? So I went and I signed for this telegram, went back to my office, thinking out something, not good, closed my office door, sat down, and as I opened it, it was a telegram from Tish, my wife. And for those of you who knew Tish, very wise, very learned person, very composed, but very full of fun and always game to do the extreme sports and stuff. And but she was wise and reserved as well. And I opened this telegram. And when I read this telegram, I was stoked. And you know what? I'm not going to tell you what she said in the telegram. And I can imagine your mind's going right now. But I couldn't wait to phone her and say, man, whoa, what a message, thank you. And I just love you so much. And right away, I decided I'm not working late tonight. So often we tend to work late and get involved in our work and work late. And sometimes you need something to jolt you to say, hey, I've got a husband or wife that I need to bless and spoil. And so on the way home, I stopped at a nursery, and I didn't have a lot of money, so I just bought her one beautiful Barberton daisy and bought her that flower and asked the florist if they could just put a bit of fern or something with it and a bow on it, so it didn't cost too much. And I brought a beautiful pink Barberton daisy home for her, and she was so surprised, and it just changes the whole atmosphere. It takes away the stress. Things like this take away the stress of your day in your business. Married couples, you do not realize it, but it really does. It changed everything. And she was excited. That telegram was still buzzing in my head, the message. And so we had supper and later put the kids to bed. And we had a wonderful evening, a great evening. I'm not going to tell you what happened, but I bet you can guess. But we had a great evening, a lovely evening. And you know what? Just that surprise element. So, I'd say don't even send a WhatsApp to your husband. Maybe put a letter in his laptop before he leaves, or stick it on the back of his cell phone so he can read it, and tell him not to read it till he gets to the office. Or you could do the same to your wife. And then when someone gives you that surprise, like I got from Tish that day at work, when you come home, respond with something because they're not expecting it. And the surprise element just changes everything, and it just relaxes you and takes tension out of everything. And you know what? Romance is there with little surprises like that. So I want to encourage you. Think of surprises. Think of little surprises. You know what? It doesn't have to be every day. My goodness, if it's every day, it's going to become mundane and lose its impact. But at least once a month or so, and do it sporadically. Think of some surprise you can bless your spouse with. And I know it's going to change things. So I hope this morning's helped you a little bit. And it's just an introduction to next week, where we're going to sit and look at specific surprises, how we can do it, what we can do, what the ladies love and what the men love. And ladies, I want to tell you, just like I got that telegram from Tish, husbands also like getting surprises and something romantic. So you can put romance back in the air, back in your marriage, and God will just bless it and multiply it, and you will see the blessing that will flow in your marriage. So I hope you're going to do it. I hope you're going to do something spontaneous. I hope you're going to give each other a surprise, and you will see the joy and the blessing that flows from it. So I pray that you're going to have a romantic marriage, a joyful marriage full of surprises, relieve the stress, take the issues out of everyday life, and enjoy one another. That's my desire, that you'll enjoy your marriage, enjoy each day together. So God bless you, and have a great marriage.